Good morning. Today is the last legislative day of the first quarter of the 116th Congress. Now, as most of you know, I always like to give measurements. I believe in outcomes and results, just as when we were in the majority as well. So I'd like to measure how the new Democrat majority has performed so far. When comparing this first quarter with the first quarter of our majority last year, 141 bills passed out of the committee in the last Congress. Just 68 have passed so far this year. 132 bills had passed out of the House last Congress, and just 97 have passed this year. But I want you to reflect on those numbers. The Democrat number, of course, is less productive than we were, but what's really telling here is the number of bills they passed on the floor is higher than the number of bills they passed out of committee. So much for regular order, so much for the people's house. It's leadership deciding what comes, not the body of the House getting to work on issues. They have passed fewer bipartisan bills. They have had far less enactment into law. So what's behind these numbers? Much as I stated a couple weeks ago, this new socialist Democrat wing of the party is now calling the shots. And they have torpedoed the legislative agenda the Speaker and the Democrats had promised to the American public. It is well reported that their first three legislative package would cover health care costs, infrastructure, and their so-called ethics reform. They have only done one of those things, and they didn't even get a single Republican to vote for it. And perhaps the most egregious omission of their promise is a budget. Let's remember what Speaker Pelosi said. Show me your budget, show me your values. They have no budget. Does that mean they have no values? Remarkably, after just 3 months, Democrats have decided that they won't even produce a budget out of committee. What are they doing instead? Well, first, we have Chairman Cummings and the Oversight Committee just last week requested financial information on the president and his business for the past 10 years. 10 years. Looking at the president's private business when he was not a candidate, nor was he in office. If that's where the chairman wants to go, I also wonder if he intends to follow through on his clear statement. One of the first big hearings they had, they brought in Michael Cohen. And I want to quote Chairman Cummings. I have made it abundantly clear to Mr. Cohen that if he comes here today and he does not tell the truth, tell us the truth. I will be the first one to refer those untruthful statements to the DOJ. Chairman Cummings promised the American public that he would be the first one that would refer them. Now we know Mr. Cohen lied to Congress. The question is, will Mr. Cummings keep his promise? Will he be referring the lies to the DOJ, just as he promised not only his committee, but the American public? This move by the committee is clearly the latest attempt to ignore the facts, shift the American people's attention, and continue to try to damage this president. Now, let me be clear, this does absolutely nothing to solve actual problems for the American public. I also want to note that today was the second public hearing of the House Intelligence Committee. What the American people didn't hear at the top of the hearing was any sense of apology from the chairman. We all know his conduct for the past 2 years. What's ironic, when Mueller presented his report on March 22nd, it was the 2-year anniversary of the lie that Chairman Schiff made, that he had proof. On March 22nd, 2017, then Ranking Member Adam Schiff told the American public, I can tell you that the case is more than that, and I can't go into any particulars, but there is more than circumstantial evidence now. March 2019, he said, a growing body of evidence of obstruction of justice. Just this month he said this. In February of 2019, ample evidence of collusion. I think that there's plenty of evidence of collusion or conspiracy in plain sight. March 2018, Dim's report will show the facts supporting the issue of collusion. In May of 2017, there is evidence of collusion. All Americans should be concerned with the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee taking the position of judge and jury and perpetuating false information to the American people for the last 2 years. Today in that hearing, every single Republican signed a letter that this chairman, they have lost confidence. They do not believe, no matter what they work on, that the American public can trust him. This is not a committee that's set by a steering committee. One person alone decides who sits on that committee for the Democrat, and one person who decides on the Republican side, me. It's now up to Nancy Pelosi to remove Chairman Schiff. We need to restore the trust in the Intelligence Committee, the work of the national security, the idea that you would have a chairman of a committee of this nature, the work that is involved in this committee, that would lie to the American public, not apologize, but use the tactics of Senator Joe McCarthy to attack his own members. There's nothing that could come from this committee that can be trusted. It is time to turn the page. The Democrats have wasted their majority. They said you have to show a budget to show values, but now they won't even do a budget. They allow a person who lies to us to be a head of an intel committee. Does America truly believe, or does Adam Schiff truly believe he knows something more than Mueller? That 40 FBI agents, 19 attorneys, 2,800 subpoenas, 500 witnesses, looking into 13 different countries and saying no collusion at all? He needs to resign from the committee. Let me open it up for questions. Yes, sir.
Leader, given the political or the cause for Adam Schiff to resign, and given the problems the Democrats had with Devin Nunes last year, maybe you and the Speaker get together and agree that your top members of the Intelligence Committee should just quit together?
Well,
there were all those issues with Congressman Nunes the last 2 years.
and didn't the Mueller report justify exactly what Chairman Nunes has said? I think Chairman Nunes comes out on top. The concerns that he had with what was being said, what was being done, was just proven correct. There is a difference here drastically. One member lied to the American public, one member told the truth and was attacked for it. Now that the truth is told that Chairman Nunes was correct, and where truth is told that Adam Schiff lied to the American public, continue to lie up until March of this year. Now, I think Speaker and I should get together and remove Schiff. She doesn't need me to get together with her to do it. She can do it today. And you know what? I removed a member from our own committees. This is what Adam Schiff has done, lying to the American public, and he is chairman of the Intel Committee. This is the committee that sees things that the majority of members do not get to know. How can you trust that individual? He has an entire one side of the committee that has no trust in him at all. How can he research anything? How can we stand up against our enemies and trust what is being done if Adam Schiff lied to us for 2 years? How can their own Democrats stand behind what he says? He didn't even apologize. Does he think he knows more than Mueller? Yes.
Do you support the administration's request to cut funding for the Special Olympics?
No, I fully support Special Olympics.
Senator Lindsey Graham has said that he would like to see a special counsel investigation into the FISA warrant process. Do you agree?
Yes, wholeheartedly. We want to make sure people are being protected, that their privacy is being protected. Of what has been said that went on during that FISA program, and especially after coming back with what Mueller's report says, I think all of America would want to know. And I think Senator Lindsey Graham should continue on that.
what they might do if this were to end Obamacare, depending on how the court would rule, isn't there peril there for
Look.
your members? I understand you want to repeal, and I understand that there's nothing, you're not in the majority, so you can't put something together. I know you would say, well, we have to work with the Democrats, but this could do damage to your party because you leave people on the hook.
Make this promise to you, and it's a conversation I have with the president. The Republicans will make sure pre-existing conditions are protected. We voted on that already this year, but the president and I have talked numerous times. We talk quite often, but this is one of the conversations we have greatly, that we support protecting pre-existing conditions. What we do have a problem with, one, that the Democrats wrote a bill that's unconstitutional. Democrats promised us if you like your health care, you could keep it. We found that not to be true. We saw premiums have now risen when they said they would go down. But what is more scary than all of this is half of all the Democrats have all co-sponsored what they truly want health care to be, what is called Medicare for All, that would remove more than 150 Americans today their ability to have health care through their private insurance, and take away Medicare Advantage to the seniors. That is a concern that we continue to work on, and the fear that we have, the Democrats in this majority that they have wasted, but have spent so much time to remove individuals' health care. Yes?
What did you say to the president on this score, and did you say anything along the lines of advising him against, or saying it could be a political mistake to try and support the lawsuit?
No, the president and I are very clear. We believe Obamacare has been a failure to the public. The premiums have risen. They lost their health care. We support pre-existing conditions. We have been very clear about that, and that's a lot of our conversation was about that. We want to find a health care system that actually lowers your premiums. A health care system that gives you a relationship of a patient with a doctor. And a lot of our conversation was about the fear and analyzing what this Democrat proposal is from the new Socialist Democrats. It was part of the Green New Deal, that it would take away any private health care. More than 150 Americans have it. Medicare Advantage, it would remove individuals from that. And the worst part about it, it would bankrupt Medicare. So those who are on Medicare today, it would collapse. That's what we mostly talked about. Yes, ma'am.
That you said overturning the
Yeah.
ACA.
Leader McCarthy, the House is going to consider the Violence Against Women Act next week. The NRA is asking lawmakers to vote against it because of a provision involving stripping domestic abusers of their guns. Where do you stand on that? Do you agree
Well,
with
I
the NRA?
stood to make sure VAWA did not expire. Right now, VAWA is expired. You know why? One individual, Speaker Pelosi. When we went to move the extension, we had it in there. Every other leader agreed to extend it. She did not.
But what we-
This is not an opportunity and is not a reason to play political games. I think the best thing for us to do is to extend the current VAWA into the rest of the year. She's playing political games. That's why she expired it, and that's the wrong way to take this. Let's solve this problem once and for all. Congresswoman Elise Stefanik actually has a bill that would extend the current VAWA, which I voted for, the rest of the year. Yes?
McCarthy, if Republicans were not able to agree on a replacement plan when you were in charge of Congress,
Mhm.
why should Americans be confident that you can come up with a replacement now and that it won't be repealed without a plan B in place?
Okay, first let me take your question. You said Republicans in Congress could not agree on a replacement plan. That part's not true. We did pass a bill out of the House. It just didn't pass the Senate. I think America agrees to all those millions who lost their health care when they promised they weren't. To all those Americans who promised their premiums would go down and it went up. The case before in court is no different than it was a week ago. Nothing has changed in this process. I think what you see from the Republicans is that we want health care to cost less. We want people to have a greater relationship, and we want to protect pre-existing conditions. What the Democrats have moved on to now is Medicare for All, that would remove hundreds of millions of Americans from their ability to have the health care, because they could no longer have private health insurance. Medicare Advantage would be removed. That's what the debate is about. Yes, sir.
Leader McCarthy, does Speaker Pelosi have a problem in her ranks when some of her members are still says no to impeachment for now?
I think she has more problems in her ranks than just that. When she can't produce a resolution on the floor condemning anti-Semitism and name a member who's done it. Compare when a member of my own party said something that we fundamentally disagree with as Americans and we disagree with as a party of Lincoln. We did not hesitate. We denounced the comments and we removed that member from all his committees. This wasn't the first time a member of her committee said anti-Semitic remarks. And it wasn't the Democrats who stood up. It was the Republicans who offered a motion to recommit that the Democrats had to accept. We have few options to bring anything to the floor. Then that same individual went even further, questioned Americans of Jewish faith if they could be committed to their own nation. Members in her own party wanted to write a resolution. She came back after the weekend and said she would and she could not. Then she had to water it down. So if the question is, does she have problems in the ranks? Yes. The question is, do the new socialist Democrats run the party? Looking at their agenda for the first 3 months, the answer is yes. No budget. More bills on the floor but haven't gone through committee. That's not the people's house. That's not for the people. The agenda they laid out, they haven't been able to produce. And now they have a chairman of the Intel Committee where we go to protect Americans around the world and our own nation, lie to the American public for the last 2 years. It's not me saying it. It's a Mueller report saying it. That everybody trusted this individual, that the Democrats spent their time all last year to try to produce a bill that he could not be fired, and he was not. A bill you didn't have to produce. And it wasn't just him who did the work. $25 million. He had grand juries. He could subpoena people. He had FBI agents. He was unlimited in his resources. He doesn't apologize, and the Speaker allows him to stay as chairman. That is unacceptable. Not from a point of a Republican, but from a point of the Republic. We want to know we're safe. We want to know we can trust what comes out of that committee. He has no ability to produce his job when every single member on the other side said, I can't stand for you to stay as chair. And to equate that any way with Congressman Devin Nunes is wrong. Devin Nunes was proven correct. That's what the report says. We should praise him. He stood up when others wanted to go after him for telling the truth. And then they allow somebody who openly lied to us up until even last month, and his only recourse is to attack the people that bring it forth. We've watched somebody in this body do this before. Senator Joe McCarthy, who had a gavel, who accused people of communism. When people stood up to him, he attacked them, their own members. We made a commitment in Congress that we would not allow that to continue. The Democrats are allowing that today. And one person can change all that, and that's the Speaker. Thank you.